everyone, Paul ISN. Welcome to part 6 of our Fujimi 112 Skyline R32 video build. Now, this video is supposed to be just about the interior, and it was nearly 10 hours of footage, so it's been broken into 2 parts. Now, thanks to a good idea by a friend of mine, today's part is going to be focusing on those beautiful Studio Rosso resin seats that came with the kit, including the harnesses that we got, the Model Factory Hero harness set that we bought, painting them, decaling them, a lot. There's a lot of work in these seats, and that's what this entire video is about. In part 7, which is also done as well, and that'll be uploaded in a day or so, we'll deal with the rest of the interior, the flocking, etc., and add these seats to it. But yeah, it was a good idea, and let's just deal with the seats all in one. So let's jump straight in with today's video and get going. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the little bell notifications, get notified of all our latest videos. Click the like button and leave a comment. I do read and reply to all the comments and appreciate everybody that takes the time to leave a comment on the channel. And of course, if you scroll up in the description, there's a link to a big long list of all the items I use in my videos. So if you see anything, you should be able to find it in there. Right then, so straight in today with our Studio Rosso resin seats. So these are the bride seats. Obviously an aftermarket part to the kit. So a quick look at the seats, and this is the photo etch base for them. Need a little bit of a clean up. There's a big seam on the back of each side of them. So we've got some of our UMP Ultimate Sanders. So we've got UMP 240 thinny stick here to get the majority of it off. Just sand away carefully. The resin is thin in places. You can see light through some of the areas, so take it very easily. Once you've got the majority off, hit it with a 240 sponge and just slowly get it to a nice smooth, as perfect as you can finish. Like I said, there's one each side on both seats. We also need to clear out our harness holes as well. A little bit of flash in there from the resin casting process. Nothing major though, and the Fujimi files make short work of this. Please be aware when you're working with resin, you should really have gloves on, dust mask, trying to breathe in any of the dust. And if you are sensitive to the resin, which you'll know as soon as you handle any of the dust, because it will burn you. If you are sensitive to it, make sure you do wear gloves. I'm not too bad. It's never really bothered me, but definitely put a dust mask on. Now, with any resin, you need to clean it because it does have a mold release on it. So I've got some UMP airbrush cleaner. My stage is 2 to 4, number 2, Oral-B Mickey Mouse toothbrush to clean it up. I'm just going to go around, clean it all up, give it a good brush, get all those nooks and crannies, and get any release agents off there, any contaminants, fingerprints, Cheeto / what's it dust, you know, the normal malarkey and stuff we get while we're modelling away. And this will just ensure that the primer we use will adhere properly, and we don't have any issues later with pulling off or peeling off. So just go around the whole thing, getting all those little nooks and crannies. Make sure everywhere has been fully done, and yeah, be nice and thorough. You don't need any pressure, just let the solution do its job. You can use IPA or any other cleaning solution you're happy with, including dish soap and water. Once it's cleaned up, get a nice dry piece of kitchen paper, and give it a good wipe down, dry it all off. Again, getting all those nooks and crannies, and make sure everywhere is nice and clean. And obviously handling it again, you are adding a fingerprint, so once you get it mounted to whichever way you decide to mount it, don't drop it wherever you do. You can wipe over where your fingers have been again, but we're just getting all the intimate small areas here that we can't get to easily, and just make sure it's all fully nice and clean. Very important step of resin, quite overlooked I think a lot of the time, and people have problems with the primer sticking or issues with the paint adhesion later on. So photo etch, we've got the photo etch mounting brackets underneath. Now we cut these off, we clean them up, and we get them all bent into shape, and then we don't use them because I found on this particular car they make the seat stand too high because of the way the floor pan is. It's got some raised areas in it to get through for the transmission and the exhaust. It's not going to work with this, so we're going to adapt this later on, but I'll show you how I bent it. So there's our seat mounted on an old UMP primer bottle on a nice flat piece of cardboard. It's got a 3M sticky pad on it, so it's going nowhere. We can just eye up how we're going to do this. So looking at pictures online, I've got my small shop tools 5.5 inch Photoshop bender. We're going to bend this in 3 ways, nice and carefully, and then eye it up, see how it looks on the car, and then we figure out that it's a little bit too high, and we're going to adapt these parts a different way. So one bend in, the next bend going in, a little push upwards to give it a good bend, get the angle we want. There we go, not too bad at all. And then the last one, getting the very last angle, just line it up carefully. They're very, very good photo etch bender. I highly recommend these. They can be used in conjunction with the photo etch pliers, the bending pliers. I think these are a bit more purposefully accurate myself. Nice and tight, very well made. I've had this for about 7 years now. Gets used all the time. Very good tool. So there we go, there's one side done. So that looks good. Looks like it'll do the job perfectly. So we'll repeat that for the other side, and there we go. Fits onto the seat absolutely spot on. Now it's sitting in a position where it needs to go, judging by pictures I can see online. It just lifts the seat up too high. As you can see, we've got raised areas under that passenger seat, and we can't get rid of them, so they're going to have to stay. There's no way around that. So improvise, adapt, overcome. So we're going to cut off this actual side plate, use the existing mounting points on the kit, and then once the seat is in place, we'll put this on the side, and that gives the impression that the frame is still there, and we'll be all good to go. It would have been nice to have used a frame, but even without the frame, the driver's seat is about 3 mil away from the top of the roof line on the car, so it would have definitely been too high. But just eyeing it up, looking, thinking, yeah, that'll look fine. And yeah, we're happy with that. So repeat that for the other side, and then we can attach these once they've been painted later on. So the existing points for the car seats at the kit, we're cutting off with our Tamiya side cutters. We're going to keep hold of these though, because we're going to use those to mount the seat on later on. So I'm just eyeing it up, looking, thinking, yeah, that's not of any importance. So that can come off. So there's 2 at the front and a big one at the back where the kit seats clip in place. They're a bit ugly, so I'm glad to kind of get rid of them. And what we'll do, we'll get both of these, we'll sand them down to a more suitable size, so they're about the same height as that rail. And then pop them in place. So you can see the rail on the front of the picture. We go to the same height as that, and then we pop this on the other side, get it in position. One at the front, one at the back, add some extra thin, and that will give us a good little secure mounting point for our seat later on. So a little bit of Tamiya extra thin. This is my 50-50 mix with Plasti-Weld. Let that set, we'll repeat that for the other one. And then we've got, like I say, a decent base to pop our seat on. There's the second one in place. And then we can cut off that front mounting point because we don't need that anymore. And we're good to go. So you can see we've cut it off. We've got our trumpeter chisel, master tool chisel to get rid of that excess plastic. We're going to be flocking this, so you don't need to get rid of it perfectly. The flocking will hide any slight imperfections, but we'll just get rid of most of the material, the excess stuff. It's nice and carefully, don't cut yourself. They are quite sharp, these things. And then have a quick test fit on the car chassis, pop the seats in, have a look, see how they look. And yeah, they don't look too bad at all. Pop the body shell on, have a quick look underneath, and there's literally about 3 mil between the seat and the roof, so it's quite tight. It's going to cause some maybe problems later when we put the glasswork in, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. I've already looked at it and there's a way around it. So primer time. Now I originally thought of priming the back of these in black and leaving them in black. So I like the colour of Mr. Surfacer black. So we've got that thinned 70% Mr. Hobby level and thinner through the UMP apex at 18 psi through the 0.35 needle. So the back plate there on these cars, by the look of it, from what I can see, is either carbon, black, or like a strange metal colour. So I chose black. So I did originally think I'll do gloss black, but I thought I'll spray the Mr. Surfacer and we'll see what it looks like. If I'm not happy, we'll do a fully gloss black and go from there. So that's purely the reason why I really chose this primer. But we're going to add several coats. It takes quite a lot to build up. It's nowhere near as quick as Ultimate Primer, but it's a good colour, and that's what I like about it. So just getting all those nooks and crannies, all the recesses. After about 3 or 4 coats, it's nicely covered. So it gives us like a satin finish on the back, which isn't bad at all. But looking at pictures, it is a much more gloss finish. So we'll let this dry, and we'll get it all nicely glossed up instead, I think. But yeah, it's a good primer, this. It's a good colour. I do prefer our primer and the Tamiya fine surface primer, if I'm honest, but they don't do it in black. And like I say, I do like to use this colour as a black. So we've got Mr. Colour GX2 Gloss Black, and we're going to thin this with Mr. Hobby Level and Thinner, about 60-40. Get a good mix up with our Badger paint mixer, like I say, some Mr. Hobby Level and Thinner in there. Give it a good mix up, and then through our 0.35 Apex at 18 psi, we're going to put down several coats, building it up till we get a nice gloss black finish on the back of this seat. So we're just going to light coat down to begin with, let that dry for 5 minutes, come back, add a couple more coats, and on the final coat get a little bit more of a wet coat down to give us that nice glossy looking finish. And there you go, after 3 coats we've got a nice gloss finish. Absolutely perfect, just what we're looking for. Left to dry overnight, there we go. We've got a nice gloss finish on the back, and not a bad finish on the front either, but I have plans for the front. So we need to mask off the gloss black, so we've got some Tamiya 1mm masking tape, and we're just going to go all around that outline, all the way around the edge, using our Tamiya tweezers to push it in place, and then we can infill that with other masking tape later. And that allows us to paint at the front of it without ruining all our hard work at the back. So we're basically going to have a gloss black back and a matte front. And there we go, infilled with the Tamiya tape. And there we are. Do the other one and we're ready for paint. So there's that mask. We also masked off the interior tub as well, because we're going to spray the rear seat in the same paint as the front, and that is the Zero Paints Textured Black. I've used this before, you've seen me use it in videos, it's good stuff, absolutely stinks. So we're going for the Ultimate Apex, 0.35, 24 psi, and we're going to apply a couple of light coats to get the texture down. It takes a while to build the texture up, and then for the last few coats I like to bring the airbrush back for a good 12 inches and let it air dry, so we get some drying paint hitting the seat, and that way it gives it a lot more of a textured effect. It's a kind of floor you don't normally want on paint, but we kind of do on this because it definitely adds to that cloth texture look. So a couple of light coats going all the way around. Don't forget the back and the bottom of the base as well. Like I say, this stuff absolutely stinks. Just make sure you're in a well ventilated room with an extractor, not in the family or the pets. And just build it up nice and slow. Dries very, very fast as well. Adds a good effect to the seats. I really do like using this, using it on chassis and seats. It does add a good bit of texture. You can get all different colours. It's not too bad at all. And then now we bring the airbrush back and give it a good blast from a good bit of distance, and that will add a lot more texture to the seat. So obviously we've got 2 of these to do, so we'll do the one off camera and then we can repeat it on the rear seat. But that's probably what, a couple of coats. Let that dry for 5 minutes, just making sure I haven't missed anywhere. Having a look around, put that down to one side, come back, and there we go. Happy with that. I've got a nice textured finish on that. It's all nice and even. Just put a few more little bits down from a distance again. Like I say, spraying from a distance lets it dry in the air before it hits the seat, and it does add an extra textured look to the seat in my opinion. Like I say, the kind of floor you don't normally want, but on this it's beneficial to the look. So we've unmasked the back now as well. We need to paint the harness, what would you call them, holes, outlets, inlets, plugs, I don't know. We've got a paint marker from Edding here, gloss black. I'm just going to go around carefully and add a little bit of gloss paint to these. Harness holes, that's what I'm going to call them. Now we've got the bride decals in the set. So one side of these decals is creased, unfortunately, and when we're applying them to the second seat later, they do crack a little bit, but I managed to save them for the most part. So one of the seats isn't quite perfect on the decals, but it's kind of hidden by the seat belt anyway, so it's not the end of the world. So we've cut it off with our Tamiya knife. We've got our Tamiya decal tweezers. We're just going to cut nice and close to the decal before we commit to water, and just place it on the seat and make sure it fits well, which it does, as you can see, so that's fine. So we'll pop that in our water, let that sit there for a few seconds and get all nice and moist. In the meantime, we'll grab some of our decal setting solutions, water, the brushes, UMP decal solution, so on and so forth to get ready. And there we go, we'll pop the decal on using our Tamiya decal tweezers. Have a look, make sure it's all lined up. That looks good. Push it into those recesses, and then we've got our water pen from Derwent. Make sure it's all nicely pushed down in all the corners. Get rid of any excess moisture. So we'll push it down with the brush, then we'll get a cotton bud and wipe off any excess moisture, and then we'll hit it with the decal solutions. We'll use Ultimate Modern Products normal to begin with, and then move on to the strong later on. As you can see, again, the decal solution makes the decal set to the rough textured seat that we painted, so again it adds to the effect. So it looks really good. And again, we got a cotton bud, just make sure the decal is fully snugged down and that there's no underlying moisture under the decal. And there we go, one down, 3 more to go. So there's one of the back ones. Same process again, just pop it in place, get it lined up, and then the upper back one as well. Nice decals actually, not too bad at all. And then the front one. The front one's a little bit tricky, it needs a little bit of a split in the front, so you can either do it before or as you get it in place, but get it in place, get it all set, put a little slit down the middle, and then using the decal solutions, just get it set in place like so. Be very careful, take your time. Then of course got the bride logo for the top of the seat as well. Carefully position it, get all nicely lined up, and then we'll set them all in with the normal and then the strong UMP solution, just to make sure they're all fully snugged down. We would completely reduce the risk of silvering, because we are putting these down over a very, very matte surface, very rough as well. And there we go. So again, they can be left for a few hours to fully cure, well, dry rather, and then we'll come back to the spray booth and we're going to matte coat them. So I've got some of the old Testors dull coat, and we're going to thin that with this Hobby Rapid Thinner. Now sadly I believe this is unavailable, the Testors now. It's a very, very good matte coat. I've used it for years. I've still got a couple of bottles luckily, so I am still going to use it, but we give it a good mix up. Be a little bit lazy there, shaking it, but it'll do the job. And there we go, we've got the Apex 0.2mm needle, 18 psi, and we're just going to matte coat the entire seat, but more focusing on the decals so we lose that shine and get it to blend into the seat and hopefully give it a bit more of a fabric look. So if you like coat to this, just go around the whole seat. Obviously we don't want to get any on the back, so make sure we keep it angled forwards. And there we go, we've got one matted, one isn't. I'm not going to lie, I can't remember which one was which, but there was a definite difference. And then again, we come in, add another coat, and get it truly matted down. So great looking seats, really striking, adds a little bit of visual interest to this drab interior, so not too bad. Now we've got our Xuron PE shears, we've got our Model Factory Hero 112 scale seatbelt set. Now, I originally bought one of these and then bought another one. I opened the box, thought, why on earth have I bought two? Sold one to my buddy Alan, then realised these belts only make one seat belt, and I had to get it back off Alan. So, bit of a faff, but we got there in the end. We also realised as well that our 4mm ribbon that we got is too thin. So we kind of got to this stage, made all this little first bit of the belt up, and then had to stall for a couple of days whilst I waited for the ribbon. So, number one, the new ribbon's 5mm. It fits the belt set a lot better, and it is more scale for what we need. And the second one is it's a much better green. It's a darker green than the one shown top left, and it suits the Takata colours a lot better. So we've got the centre section of our harness to build. So this is the bit that you pull on to tighten the seatbelt up, and it needs several bends on this and the other two parts that go with it. So we're using our small shop tools bender again to get 90-degree bends in each one, like so. And happy, just straighten it back up. There we are. And then there's a front section as well. These PE shears are absolutely fantastic, unless you catch your hand on them, which I've done many times, and they are razor sharp. So give that a good snip, get the rough edges off, and then we can use our Tamiya benders to straighten them up. So we do the majority of the work with our finger, but we're going to grab our Tamiya bending pliers and just give it a proper tweak to the angle we want. So there we go. And then we can pop that on the first bit, and we've got a metal rod to pop through the middle. So the best way I found to do this is pop it through, get one edge lined up right with the very edge, and then grab a bit of CA glue. This is our Loctite Perfect pen. Just put a little bit inside, leave it to dry, let it sit for a minute, wipe off any excess. And once it's dried, we can come in with some metal snips, and on the other side hold both parts, otherwise it will ping off, like so. We'll just cut through like that, and there we go. There is one of our buckles made. It does actually move, it does actually work. If in doubt, pop a little bit more CA glue on, or you can do the other side. And there we go. So it still works, still moves around, which is good. Actually quite nice to work on a larger scale harnesses. I've only really made one 12 scale before, and that was on the Caterham. The Tamiya 12 scale Caterham built a while back. They're a lot easier to work on. And as you'll see in a bit, they look quite impressive when they're done. So there we go, there's our freshly obtained 5mm ribbon. Like I say, it's a darker colour than the old stuff, so it is a little bit better. Pop it through, a little bit of double-sided tape, which we'll trim to size. Tricky stuff to work with because, well, being tape, it sticks to everything. So it's a case of using your tweezers and manipulating it as and when and where you want it. Pop it in place, fold it over, and there we go. There's one side of it done. Then pop the other piece through the bottom, feed it round and through itself, like so. Pay attention to the instructions. I'm not following them to the letter, kind of just winging it myself. And then pull it through. That's it, like so. Want enough on there to look right, snip it so it's nice and straight. That could be taped down as well. And then we're just going to place it on roughly where it will go, so we can get the length of the bottom piece for the buckle. So looking at online pictures, that looks about right. There's our buckle for the bottom. So again, whilst the belt is on the seat, we'll just pop it down, keep looking, eye it up. So most of the pictures online either showed the belts like this, where they were hanging loose all the way down, or they were buckled up and pulled taut. Now taut made them shorter at the top. I prefer this look, so that's the look we're going for. So that's both of those rear belt sets done. We've got two sides to do now. One's got a buckle on it, or the release buckle, and the other one's just got the push fit buckle on it as well. So just line it in place, angle it forward a little bit, like so. Once we're happy, put a bit of Seagull in the centre, and we can add our white metal release. You could paint this if you wanted. I quite like the colour it comes in, so mine's getting left in that colour. And then we'll pop another part of the buckle through. A little bit of double-sided tape on the back. And there we go. Feed it through the side of the seat. Leave a bit of excess here, because this is the part that will have to be hidden down the side. So on this one, we'll stick it to the side of the seat, and on the right-hand side, we'll leave a little bit extra on it, so we can add one of the fixtures on to add it to the floor of the car. So the double-sided tape is a bit of a pig, because it grabs everything you don't want it to. But once it's on, it grips the seatbelt really, really well. So that is it. For the most part, that is the seatbelt done. So we need to repeat this for the seat. And we've got our Tamiya decal scissors here, and some nice decals that Alan Parker very kindly found, edited and printed for me for the Takata logos. Obviously the seatbelt set comes with several manufacturers, but not these ones. So being printed on white decal paper, then you trimming right up to the decal. So a bit of careful trimmage. And we're good to go. Pop that in our water, give it 10-20 seconds to get itself nice and wet. And then we can attach it to the belt. Obviously we need two, so I might as well cut the other one off whilst we're waiting. And then we grab the decal, using our decal tweezers from Tamiya. Pop them in place, like so. Get them all lined up where you want them. Repeat that for the other side as well. Online pictures are essential for this. Make sure you get everything orientated the right way. And there we go. And to set them in place, we're going to use Mr. Hobby Leveling Thinner very, very carefully on a micro brush. And we're just going to touch this to the decal. And what this will do, this will truly melt that decal into the fabric and make it look like it's printed on the fabric. Now, it doesn't work as well on homemade decals as it does commercially made ones, but it definitely does set it in place a little bit. It's better than a decal solution because it actually melts the decal into the ribbon. You're just going to be very careful that you just lightly touch and don't go back over if you can help it. And just let the capillary action pull the solution into the decal. Very careful over painted surfaces, you don't get any excess on and it bleeds through and ruins your decal or your paintwork behind. And we'll repeat that for both of them. And then there we go. One completed seat and belt, and it looked very, very good. Quite happy with those. And we can come back in part 7 and add those to the interior. Well then, there we go. That's the seats done. Happy with those. They turned out really, really well. Bit of a drama over the seatbelt ribbon, because it was like, oh no, and then I had to delay the build for a couple of days while I waited for that to be delivered. So in the meantime, we've also got half of a Challenger part 2 build done as well. So that should be up in a few days too. But like I say, that's the seats done today. We'll be back in part 7 in a day or so, and we'll get all the interior painted, flocked, finished, everything, and get the seats installed in place. And yeah, very, very happy how it's going. Enjoying this build a lot. Everyone keeps saying to me, have I lost my mojo on it? No, I'm just spacing it out. I'm in no rush to finish it at all. We've probably got a couple more parts at least in it to get it done. But no, really enjoying it. I was a little bit disappointed at first when it was mostly, you know, a screwed together, pushed together kit. But adding extra detail, the added Studio Rosso stuff is essential for this, in my opinion. It'll build out the box alright, but it makes it so much nicer with those extra bits. It changes the build to a completely different experience, I would say, to be honest. So yeah, really looking forward to getting it done, but no rush at all. So like I say, part 7 will be out in a couple of days. We've got all this interior done. And then we've still got to polish all the body. We've got all the front, rear lights to do, the glasswork to do, attaching the doors, the bonnet hinges, the exhaust. That's going to be tricky to do, the exhaust, because we need to modify that for the back box we've got. But yeah, we're getting there slowly. I think 2, maybe 3 more parts and we'll be all done on this. So thanks for watching today. I will catch you all next time. Make sure you sub to the channel, give a thumbs up, and leave any comments you want down below. I do appreciate all the comments and the support I've had through these builds. It's been absolutely outstanding. And make sure you click that bell notification as well to get notified of all the latest videos. Check out International Scale Model Facebook page and forum. And yeah, check out umpretail.com and get all our products I've shown in these videos. Kits, tools, everything. The Off Air Hangout group, the Live at the Bench page, and my Paul ISM Facebook page as well. No questions today, so just say hello. In your comment, just put hello. There we are. So I'll catch you very soon in part 7. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.